So now we come to recording and arranging, and what we're going to look at first is how to program a simple beat. We'll be using a controller that sends MIDI notes to a MIDI track or an instrument track within Cubase, and that will trigger some drum sounds, and that way we'll create our drum beat. And we can do a similar kind of thing to get a bass line in there as well, playing on the keyboard. It actually creates MIDI notes. We'll look at that in the keyboard editor and the key editor, and you'll be able to see the notes in place as well, and how we can edit them in some quite basic ways. Then we move on and actually record a vocal, and to do that we need to plug our microphone into the interface. Now the mic produces a very low level signal, so there's a microphone preamp built into the audio interface which we can use to set the level. That goes into Cubase, into the input in Cubase, and we can record the input of that into an audio track in mono or stereo, and in this case it'd be mono because it's a monophonic microphone. Moving on, we can then look at recording guitar. And for this, the guitar produces a relatively low level signal as well. And we plug our jack input into the audio interface. And we make sure we've got the right settings on the audio interface to get the level right. And we can record that into an audio track. We can make multiple takes of the same part and then decide which elements we want to keep. And all of that will be using the interesting editing abilities of Cubase, scissors tools, cutting and pasting to comp up and get our preferred take. So one important thing is when you're recording, obviously if you're recording vocals in the same room, then you need to make sure that you're not going to get the sound coming out of the speakers and you're recording vocals at the same time, because you'll get feedback and it will sound terrible. So for that you need headphones. And these headphones will plug into the front of your audio interface in most instances. And the other important thing as well is you need to be able to hear a mixture of what's coming back from your already recording elements in Cubase and also what you're recording, the live element. And for that, most audio interfaces have a balance control. So if you don't have an elaborate setup with an external mixer or something like that, this allows you to balance, in your headphones in this case, the mixture of what's coming out of Cubase and also what's coming in as the live element. So you can set them to match to your own preference, start off with a 50-50 balance, that's probably about the right level. You'll be able to hear your vocals and the backing track at the same time, or your guitar and backing track at the same time. So here's a track I made earlier.
Shine a light,
Coin a phrase. Now this includes a number of the elements we talked about. We start off with our beat. I can play this from the keyboard. And what I've done here is I've actually used the keyboard to trigger different drum sounds. In this instance they're coming from Groove Agent SE, which I can open up here. And you can see the different pads, they're being triggered by the keys on the keyboard. And I programmed a beat, kick drums, claps and so on. So that's there. I also added a piano, which I played from the keyboard. And we can see the notes here. I'll zoom in. Velocity is the different notes, and this here is when the sustain pedal is held down. So all of the information that I'm playing here, and the sustain pedal also connects to the keyboard, is actually recorded here, and it then tells this virtual instrument, Halion Sonic SE, to play a piano. I could set it to another sound if I wanted to. Bass part, similar process. You can see the notes here. And this is being played back by Halion Sonic SE. Now the process to record is very, very simple. I literally just press record, and then once that's going, I can see the bar moving across the screen. I'll hear the other tracks in the background. I can play these in, and the notes will then be added to this key editor here. Similar process also, if we go to the vocals.
Shine a light, shine a light.
Now I've recorded these,
on me. These
as we discussed already.
Flashing lights,
I've looped it around and done a number of takes. Now if I click on this little triangle here, I actually see there are a whole series of alternative takes. Different digital audio workstations have different ways of doing the same thing and comping. If you go for the full version of Cubase, you get full comping tools. But what I can do here is I can use the scissors to slice, and in each instance I can use the element that I like. So I take the first take here, and this one might be the fourth take, and it will jump between the two. I can also slice here and then choose the third take. Then when I play back,
shine a light, shine a light.
it'll go from
shine a spotlight
first
on
take
me. These flashing lights,
to a
flashing
fourth take,
lights. You're gonna blind
and then
me.
to the third take.
Shine a light.
So this comping
shine a
process allows you
light,
to choose the
shine a
bits that you
spotlight
want
on me. These
based
flashing
on a number of
lights,
different
flashing
performances.
lights.
And I could do the same thing for guitar as well. So if we look at the guitar, there are a number of takes I've done here. And if I play this back, I've recorded it clean, in other words, without any processing going into the audio interface. And this then allows me to actually apply some processing afterwards. And what we're using here is the amp rack, which emulates effects, amplifiers, microphones, in fact a full configuration that you'd actually associate with recording a guitar live. And what I can do is then apply this and get a much more realistic sound. Notice the slight distortion coming through there, it's much more vibey. And I could do this for the various other guitar parts as well. And in each instance I could choose a slightly different amp, cabinet and effects chain. So in this case, there's chorusing, delay and various other effects on there. If I take that off, you'll hear it's rather plain in relation to its processed version there. So all the guitar parts were recorded direct into the audio interface in the same way, and the processing was added afterwards. So we've got different instances of amp rack, which comes with Cubase, and we applied the processing once we got our clean signal into Cubase itself.